What's going on, y'all? Welcome back to another episode of Lazy Sundays with Dionte
and NiJa.
First, before we get this video started, man, make sure y'all go ahead and like and subscribe. Hit that bell on the side so you get notifications, every time we drop a new video. What's been going on with you, NiJa?
This week has been a rough one because I did some volunteer work at my job, and I really didn't want to do it. I'm just gonna be honest. I really didn't want to do it, but once I got out there, I was like, okay, I actually had a good time, and I was on the clock, and then I wasn't doing no work technically. I was helping, but it just felt good to just be out and amongst people. It's crazy how, awkward you can be when now you're having to be around a large crowd of, it wasn't that many. We were all spaced out, but still, it was exciting to see strangers. It's like the weirdest thing where you're just like, oh, hey, here's your potatoes. And so you're all happy to get people stuff. You holding conversations. So,
yeah, it's been so long, bro.
Yeah, so, it was hot. But I really enjoyed myself, but it was rough because trying to get back into the routine of work after you get done having fun is really difficult. Sure. But all in all, it was a really good week. How was your week?
My week was decent, man. It's just one of those weeks where every day kind of goes by similar speed. It's like work, home, sleep, work, home, sleep. Kind of one of those weeks for me, man. I'm not even gonna lie. Try to watch a little bit of sports here and there. Try to look at it, see what's going on. But again, work, home, sleep. So
pretty much, yeah.
I'm not even gonna lie, man. My week was boring, bro. Yeah.
Adulting. That's what it sounds like.
We've been adulting for 2 weeks.
Oh
bro.
My gosh!
If y'all only knew.
Oh my gosh! Y'all have no idea the stuff that we don't share. My gosh, being a grown up. But so we're going to be discussing intimacy today, and me and Dionte really wanted to talk about this because it's something that we personally talked about for a really long time, and honestly Dionte was the one that brought it to my attention, and I was like, oh, okay, excuse me, what you been reading and watching?
Sometimes I watch Dr. Phil, Dr. Phil when he was on Oprah in the beginning of his show. Now I feel like he's getting into that Jerry Springer territory.
Anyways, so
Dr. Phil, come on now.
So we wanted to talk about intimacy. Before we get into all the things that we want to talk about as far as intimacy, we want to give y'all what we got off the internet as far as the definition of intimacy. So it says that intimacy is a close, familiar, and usually affectionate or loving personal relationship with another person or group. Dionte put down, because I'm just now saying this. Do you want to read this, or do you want me to read this?
You can read it. Oh, I can read it.
You can go ahead and read it. I was just
kind of jotting down notes. Just wanted to, because my thoughts on it is more of, I feel like it's important because humans in general are social creatures, even though people like myself tend to be antisocial, but we all are social creatures. We thrive on close personal relationships with others. So it's something that we need. Nobody is out here literally going every day of their lives not communicating or talking to anybody. You may feel like you're antisocial, but you're still talking to your parents. You're still talking to your relatives.
You're talking to somebody.
Whatever close friends you have. You may only have 2, but I'm pretty sure you talk to them literally all the time, every day. Because intimacy in general, man, people kind of get it confused when people assume intimacy means sex, and it's actually 2 different things that can kind of be intertwined.
It's a few that people don't realize. It's not just sex, which is what I always thought of when I would hear intimacy. Yeah,
but intimacy in itself is pretty much the glue to a happy relationship. I feel like happy, honest relationship.
That is very true.
And the sex is just kind of the cherry on top.
Pretty much. So we jotted down a few forms of intimacy. The first one is intellectual. You're going to have to say that because I'm too country to say that.
Intellectual. Basically, your ability to share your thoughts and ideas with someone else. Y'all discussing plans, future plans, how y'all feel about different things. A lot of people, I had a female tell me, she called it, like, mind sex in a sense. Some people tend to get turned on by those, I guess, intellectual stimulating conversations.
Yes.
And
you ever heard people say, like, I love that I can talk to this person about anything. We can have deep conversations. It's not just surface.
Basically.
Pretty much that's what they're talking about. The next one is emotional, the ability to share your innermost feelings with another, which is pretty general within itself. And then the next one is sexual, the ability to share yourself sexually, obviously, which is the main one you think about when you think of intimacy. And what's the last one?
Experiential, which basically your ability to share experiences with one another, which that and intellectual, I believe when you're dating someone, those two things are two forms of intimacy that I think people don't necessarily think that they're actually participating in. Because when you're dating somebody, or not even dating, even when you're married, you're still getting to know people. You're still having those stimulating conversations. And you're going out on dates. You're going to do different things with each other. A lot of those things sometimes you're experiencing you're obviously experiencing them with each other for the first time. But a lot of times you're experiencing yourself for the first time. And certain things like that tend to bring people together, or at least that's what you assume will happen.
Or it'll let you know if y'all not meant to be,
because now
it
you
gives
have
you some insight.
Because now you have memories and happy thoughts to kind of look back on. So I think those two are probably the easier to perform, because you're not even thinking about it when you're doing it. You're just thinking, I'm trying to get to know this person. Now the other two, the emotional and the sexual intimacy, is kind of where I think the issue comes in for the average person, because it's hard for the average person, including myself, to kind of open up as far as how they're feeling emotionally and how they're going about things and dealing with stuff like that. And sexually, that's kind of one of the things everybody,
which is where it get people messed up at. Because people just jump right to that one and then skip all the other ones, and it's like,
for sure,
now you're trying to figure out why you're so confused about your feelings with this person that you've been having sex with
because of that. And now you're thinking that because you're having sex with them, hold on, let me get it now. Because you're doing that, thinking that you're getting what you need, when actually you're lacking the other forms of intimacy. Which really is the problem, because sexually, you may feel like you're on the same page, but they're not doing anything for you intellectually. You're not doing anything with them. You're not sharing experiences outside of the bedroom.
Very surface.
Very
surface relationship.
Exactly. So it's like you're thinking you're getting all of them. Really, you're only getting about 25% of what that person should actually be giving.
Hello, somebody? Yes. That is very true. Oh, God. Lord, having church. But, okay, so we want to break down some of the things. We want to break down some of the things that we experienced. Just going to go through some questions to give y'all some insight on how we developed all of this as far as intimacy. So the first question is, how did you discover it was other ways to be intimate?
Oh, you wanted me to go first?
I can go first. I'll go first.
I'll go second.
Well, for one, like I said, you were the first one that brought it to my attention. Like, hey, we should probably start doing other things. And the more and more we talked about it is when I really discovered there was other sides to like intimacy. I guess I knew that, but I didn't know that was like what it was. It was like I would always say like, I want to do other things, other than just, that one thing that we all know. And it wasn't until we had that deep conversation that I was like, oh, well, yeah, that is different forms of intimacy. You know what I'm saying? We should do those things because we've been together so long that I feel like it's so easy to disconnect from those other forms of intimacy. And then you trying to figure out like, what's lacking? Like, what are we doing? Like, we've been together for a long time. We're doing good. But why is it that we seem to have a slight disconnect? And that's why. Yeah, so, what about you?
As NiJa says, to finish up what you were saying, as far as one thing she likes to say is being intentional. So in these type of situations, you kind of have to be intentional about as I don't know, I cannot really get it out today. As far as the forms of intimacy being shown, because a lot of times when you're not thinking about it and you're just doing it, you don't even realize you're doing it. So, but when you're being intentional, you're actually saying, hey, I'm trying to provide this form of intimacy for you. So let's go out and experience some things. Let's actually talk about something that's stimulating for both of us instead of it being like us talking about, you know, hey, what our kids is doing, or something that we've seen on TV that's really not even stimulating your mind like that. Let's have a real in-depth conversation about things. But how did I discover it was other ways? The internet.
That's good. But so it shows that you were being intentional about trying to improve other parts of your relationship.
I was.
When you was like, let me go ahead and Google what's going on.
Exactly. And with that, I actually came. It's funny how you find stuff on the internet, because I wasn't actually looking for this. But once you actually, you know what I'm saying, I don't even remember kind of how I stumbled upon it, but it's one of those things that once you do kind of get in there, you kind of fall down that rabbit hole, and you're like, once you start seeing what you're doing and what you're not doing, like, because I didn't realize, again, myself, how many forms of intimacy it was. So it's like, I was actually making this analogy yesterday. It's kind of like math. It's like, you may know what 3 times 3 is, but it's hard for you to show that work.
Yeah.
So you don't know how you came across. You just know, like you said with the phone, we just know this is something that you do.
Yeah.
But you don't know the work that goes into it to get to that point. So it's like, once you actually see the work behind it, aka the other forms of intimacy, it's like, now I'm starting to understand what we actually need to hone in on. Because then you can say, I know we're not doing this, and the third. So
All right, so the next one is, what point of your relationship did you feel like more ways to be intimate was needed? I'll go first again.
Thank you.
While I was pregnant with Sophia and after I had Sophia is when I was like, okay, like I said at the time, I didn't know that this is what I was doing as far as different forms of intimacy. But at that time, it was like, okay, you know, obviously while I'm pregnant, you can't really do the main, you know, so then that can kind of cause a disconnect. So it was like, okay, we need to get creative, and not just in the traditional, or what you would consider the traditional way of intimacy. We need to do other things, like, because we were doing all of these things when we first got together before that other form of intimacy started. So it's like, how do we get back to that? So that way we don't create this huge disconnect just because that one thing is not happening, or it's not happening as often. And then also, when after I had Sophia, obviously I couldn't do anything for a while. So it was like, okay, well, what do we do? How do we fix this? Instead of, because obviously the man is sitting there helpless, but so much they can do. So you're like, I don't want him to just be like, oh, well, there's a baby now, figure it out. It's just like, no, he still needs attention and love and affection. So you have to figure out all of those other ways to keep your relationship going. And that's when I was like, all right, we got to figure this out.
Yeah, man, because to piggyback on that, like, and I feel like that happens with a lot of people as far as kids.
Yeah.
Because even though we love our kids, everybody loves their kids. But as far as, you know, mommy and daddy aspect of it, that kid does throw a monkey wrench in on it. So the form of intimacy, sexual, that you're used to being able to show with your partner, well, even everything else, because again, before we had kids, or before we had our kid, because we only got one kid, but before we had our kid, it was easy for us to share experiences together and have those type of conversations that we need. And we're actually performing all four forms of intimacy. Again, not knowing, but once the kid kind of presented that monkey wrench, and it stopped one, it low-key kind of stops all of them, because now you're kind of focused on the kid. So you kind of have to get used to not only being a parent, but again, being what's your favorite word?
Intentional.
Being intentional and saying, hey, we're going to focus on this, and this. Now, of course, you're not saying it necessarily out loud like, hey, we're going to make sure we have this type of conversation.
Yeah.
But it's something that you know that we need to do.
Yep.
Because if you think about it, it's always these forms that's lacking. Because you're having kids, you're not necessarily having those type of conversations. Obviously, you're not having sex, but everything else, you know, you can still share and bond with each other and grow closer.
Yes, that's very true.
Actually, you are, in a sense, because you're experiencing a kid with each other. So technically, you're getting that. Yeah. But, you know.
It's other layers to that.
For sure.
But, okay, so the next one is how has your love language helped with increasing intimacy? My love languages are act of service, words of affirmation, and receiving gifts. And it's helped with intimacy from, obviously, if y'all know me, y'all know I love receiving gifts. But it's increased intimacy for me because, for one, acts of service. Dionte knows anytime he makes the bed, before I even say anything, or he cleans up, I'm just like, oh, you cleaned up. Oh, okay. You know,
you like how I put this stuff in the trash, don't you?
Like, it just kind of helps take a load off of me, which then kind of creates that, it takes away from that mental block that I may have with being like, I gotta do this, this, and this, and this, and this. Then when you feel like you don't have time for anything else. So it takes away that overwhelming feeling of being like, oh my gosh, I gotta clean, do all this. And then the moment he wants some attention, I'm like, I got stuff to do. Leave me alone, you know? So acts of service, that helps. Words of affirmation. I love to hear that I'm doing a good job, or that he loves me, or whatever. Like, those things make me feel like, okay, we're still on the same page. Like, we're still here. I love that. And I
think everybody likes that, at least a little bit, though.
I feel like that's like one of like everybody's love language.
Tell your spouse you love them. Compliment your spouse. Because
it goes a long way.
Even as a man, you know, I like to hear that I look good today. Yeah. Or, you know, whatever your old lady say to you that she know you like.
That's true. And then my last one, like I said, is receiving gifts. Now, don't get it twisted. Like, I'm not like, oh, you always got to buy me gifts. Like, no. He knows that whenever he randomly does something, I'm appreciative. Like, I love it. I've never been a flowers girl, but I became a flowers person because he would randomly be like, oh, here's some flowers for you. And it's like, I never knew I needed this, but thank you.
The best time to get flowers is when she's not expecting it. Yeah, if somebody gave me flowers on a random Wednesday, I'll probably, oh my God.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay, so what is your love language?
Mine is I'm licking my lips a lot this video. Mine is physical touch. I like to touch. And I like to...
Very affectionate.
I want to say that I like to be touched, but, you know, in that way, yeah. But because I'm kind of awkward when it comes to being touched and hugged at the same time, too.
Yeah. He likes it. Where you putting your hands at? Well, wait a minute. Because he's very ticklish.
I like to, very much so. And that's, I don't know why God did this to me. But I like to initiate it. It's easier for me that way.
I get that.
I like to initiate it first, and then we can kind of go from there. But yeah. I mean, I ain't really. I want to say acts of service is pretty cool, but I'm not really tripping off of that. So, but yeah, like I said, the words of affirmation, everybody likes to hear. You know, positive things. Yeah. So.
All right. So the next one is, how does different ways of being intimate help your relationship? I'll go first again. It helped a lot. Like, once we established what we needed to do, like what was missing, it was like, hey, once again, my favorite word, let's be intentional about doing these things, because I can always tell when we haven't been doing those things because we start to bicker a lot. And a lot of times when we get all of our frustration out and we argue, the end result is always, this looks a mess, this wasn't clean, and it was all of acts of service that was not happening. words of affirmation that was not happening, with him. Physical touch was not happening. So we're just frustrated and irritable because it's like, you ain't gave me a hug. You ain't told me that you love me. You know what I'm saying? Like, you ain't been helping me clean up. You ain't
forms of intimacy, bro.
Exactly.
No forms of intimacy.
What about you?
What was the actual direct question again?
How does different ways of being intimate help your relationship?
I feel like we kind of went through it, basically going over. They all can help your relationship because, like I said, you're having stimulating conversations with that person that you're in a relationship with. I'm pretty sure if you're in a relationship with them, I'm pretty sure you like talking to them.
Yeah.
And, experiential, that's just date night.
Mm-hmm.
Let's find something creative to do for date night.
Yes.
Well, let's just do date night. I think all people should start there.
Yeah.
Because I think, especially with us trying to come out of the pandemic, a lot of people been cooped up inside. A lot of people been going crazy so far too. Being outside, open back up, they've been losing their mind.
Mm-hmm.
But that's just basically date night.
Yeah.
Now emotionally, like I said, it's kind of hard for people to kind of open up as far as their feelings. So in that aspect, I would say just take it easy. Maybe just start talking about the future, like you guys' future plans, and then as y'all get closer, maybe it'll be easier after a while to talk about the past, different things you guys experienced growing up, or just before each other. And sexual, that's the easiest one for everybody.
So
that's
the easiest one.
I feel like if you're doing the other three, that one is gonna happen regardless.
Exactly.
So
but we have a few things here as far as building intimacy. Being patient is the number one thing, which is something that my spouse lacks a little bit, but we balance each other out because I'm a little bit more patient than he is. But you also have to know that. I feel like you don't want to kick somebody when they're down or kick somebody for being a certain way. Like some people are just who they are, and it's not that they're intentionally trying to be mean or not be patient. You kind of have to learn to balance each other out. So we balance each other out as far as that, being patient with one another. Start with easy things, meaning like not being like, oh, we have to have a traditional date night. We have to go to the movies and out to eat, or we have to go out to eat. It's like we can do whatever we want to do. Whatever we feel like we want to do, just let it be easy. Don't let it be so much like thinking into it and being strategic, because that can cause an argument.
There's no such thing as a textbook relationship or marriage. Like, everybody's setup is different. What we do to spend time with each other is different from what y'all may do. Us spending time together, we may randomly decide, hey, let's play fucking Mario Kart.
Yes.
That's something randomly that we do. Y'all may say, hey, we play instruments, let's play some music together. Everybody's thing is different. Whatever you guys' thing is, just focus on that.
And then I feel like one of the key things in building intimacy, something I just randomly thought about, is giving each other space.
For sure.
I feel like sometimes the reason why intimacy can be lacking is because you may feel smothered. Let's be honest. We all been in this pandemic, and I feel like I know I'm not the easiest person to deal with, and I know I done got on his nerves, and it's like, girl, I need to go on the porch or something.
And vice versa.
Okay, and vice versa. So it's like giving each other that space kind of creates, I know it sounds so cliche, but it makes you miss that person. You're like, oh, I'm actually happy to see you. I want to build intimacy with you. But it's like, girl, I don't want to build nothing. I just seen you a couple hours ago. You get on my nerves. It's like, so.
Exactly.
Yeah, but.
I think that's probably the best part about, not to cut you off, but.
No, it's done.
New relationships, because we're like dropping each other off in a sense. So
that's very true.
I kind of get a chance to miss you because I'm going home and you're going to your house.
And I'll get there when I get there. I'll see you later.
I might not be able to see you again until next week or so it actually builds kind of anticipation in the
That's sense. Very true. I didn't even think about it like that. Yeah. But I mean, that's all we got for you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this discussion. This was like really close to
take some
our
of this
heart.
Advice, man.
Really wanted to share this with y'all.
Do some things with your spouse. Yes. Enjoy life.
Yes, because I'm telling y'all, to be honest and to be really transparent, no relationship is easy. But you're going to go through issues. You're going to get on each other's nerves. And although my spouse, like I said, sometimes Dionte, he doesn't have the most patience. Sometimes he is the voice of reason of being like, girl, sometimes it's really not that bad. It's going to be okay. And I'm like, no, because yes it is.
Again, like, yin to my yang, you know?
I guess.
So.
Yeah. But I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Like he said before, do not forget to like and subscribe.
Hit that bell.
Don't forget to hit that bell so you guys never miss a video from us. And also comment. But if you don't want to comment, then, you know, just slide into our DMs, you know, suggest videos. You know, we're always willing to talk to y'all.
For sure, man.
Yeah. And we will see y'all in our next video. Bye,
Peace.
guys.